Turn it on. Where are you at?
Over here.
There you are.
Man, you got it way zoomed in.
I'm not zoomed anything.
Are you sure?
Well,
Like, I can see me from here.
see. Oh, it was zoomed in. Wasn't me. Somebody else. Probably doing shoe porn.
Gabrielle. Probably shooting self-porn in the mirror.
Not enough room in here.
There's not enough room.
Is that perfect?
There's more room now than there was yesterday.
Why? What did we take out? Did we drink some of this fucking coffee? There's literally enough coffee in here. Like, John's great-great-grandchildren would be like, where did this who was mining all this coffee? Because there'll still be that much coffee.
They'll call us coffee barons.
Yeah, they will be coffee barons. If there's a...
Coffee barons.
If we run out, if the world's supply of coffee dries up because of some superbug, John is going to be a billionaire.
Everybody says that with the government being turned off, you're about to have mass riots so that they can implement martial law. And martial law will be implemented through turning off your bank accounts and basically just turning you off, like you always say. So, you might be glad we have all this coffee. Might have to stay up and man the watchtowers.
Government ain't got no time for martial law and riots.
Okay, it is what is today?
Maybe that's why Trump's bringing all the troops home so he can station them on every corner in Camden.
Tuesday, January 22nd at 4:53 p.m. episode of the podcast 21. 21. What the fuck's going on out there?
Where, on the floor?
Chef fucked me up.
Why? What did he do?
He made me 4 pieces of French toast.
He did. You know, I told you. I specifically said, don't say that.
Fucked up from it.
I said, don't say that because he's going to make it.
I could go to sleep right now.
He's going to make that French toast.
Please tell Skully that I have found a morale patch with his likeness on it. Also, I'm coming to Camden at the end of the March for the Fighting Pistol. I feel the need to bring goodies. I know Skully will be more than happy with a case of Diet Pepsi. John, cinnamon buns. Do not bring me cinnamon buns. But not sure what Amanda would like. Amanda is only allowed to have goodies that I provide to her. That's how I keep her under my paw, under the monkey's paw. Amanda will probably say she doesn't want anything. She doesn't trust strangers.
Any super dark chocolate. It's got to be.
I'm surprised we haven't been fucking poisoned with the shit.
80% CAC or however they rate it.
Yeah, if you find the most expensive, worst tasting chocolate in the world,
she loves it.
That'll be her. Yeah, there's some $400 chocolate out there. It comes with special tweezers and shit. You don't have to go that crazy, but if it's like go buy some chocolate that sounds fucking terrible and taste it. If it tastes terrible, she'll like it.
If you're 60 CAC, she don't. That's not even close. You gotta get up there in the 80 CAC.
Love the podcast. Keep doing it just like this.
Hillbilly.
Says hillbilly. Speaking of hillbilly, what comes to mind when you hear hillbilly?
Around here, the knife maker.
Oh, Horton? That's not what I was thinking.
That's the only person I think of.
Upchurch.
Oh, Upchurch, yeah.
So, Upchurch. I like Ryan. Lives in Cheatham County. Ryan had some guy, he was like, I help a lot of fucking people. Like, even when I couldn't afford to help people, I always wanted to help people. He's like, I was playing at this bar or whatever, didn't make shit that night, and this dude comes up and he's talking about how he's an artist and his dream is to just be an artist. He said, so I literally gave him all the money I had. Like, I gave him everything I had, thinking he would go buy some materials and do this shit. 2 years later now, the dude has painted these 2 paintings. I don't know. I mean, I look at art. I think the art world is basically full of shit. Just like actors. There's some fucking great actors, great musicians out there, but until you do whatever their fucking little secret handshake is, like, you're not going to be made famous. And I've got a story about that in the art world, as a matter of fact. So this dude painted these paintings, and Ryan Upchurch is like, I've been busy. I meant to say thank you for this dude. I think he still owed him a little bit of money for him or whatever, despite the fact that 2 years later, he's now delivered these things. So this guy is running around the internet, running around Facebook, talking shit about how ungrateful Upchurch is. So Upchurch is like, watch this. Oh, there must have been a duck flew over. You hear all that gunshot?
Yeah. Sounded like they were in the backyard.
He's like, so watch this, motherfucker. So I think he has a fucking scar on his back, like a rifle, and a shotgun. And he goes out front, and they walk out past the tree line into where there's some lights out in the field, and he puts them up on his fence line, and then proceeds to not be able to shoot this shotgun. Like, there's not a round in the chamber, so he's got to hit the little whatever to release it. So he gets one off, boom, goes to shoot again, and the fucking thing won't. So he finally gets a round or two off, and then he gets the scar off his back, and like, Ryan, you need some weapons familiarization at minimum, and secondly, you need to come here and take a class, buddy, for real. Like, we know a lot of people that know that dude. Somebody tell him. And then he just blasts the fuck out of these. He's like, here's your fucking paintings. Here, you can have them fucking back now. But he fucking just wrecked them on a YouTube video.
People are so ungrateful.
Not him. Yeah, not him. Fucking.
No, not him. How you gonna take everything out of somebody's pocket, take fucking 2 years to make it, and then talk shit because he's not worshiping at your feet?
Yeah, I mean, fucking. And I mean, we only know one side of the story, but the fact is we know who Upchurch is, and we know, fuck, whatever.
And he shot him with guns, so...
Blew him to fuck
That's
pieces.
good.
Like, Ryan could have made your ass, like, he could have made you or break you, and, I mean, right now, he fucking pretty well broke you, because we don't know who the fuck you are. Shark skin tool bag, I like it.
Where can we get shark skin now?
We can get shark skin.
Do you have an outlet for shark skin? Could you go and get us some great white shark skin?
He's asking the camera that.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, I don't know about great white, but we can get shark. We can get
It's
shark
got to
skin.
be a great white. I don't want, like, a nurse shark.
Questions for future podcasts. After listening to episode 20, you guys mentioned wanting another dark pattern from ATAX. What about LE or LEX? Well, had you been listening,
You'd know.
you would know that there is no more LEX. We know the guys over at ATAX. We've talked to them. There is no more LEX, which is what I want.
Why is there no more LEX?
I'm guessing it just didn't sell.
Because
I point blanked him. I'm like, hey, I want some more of this LEX. He's
But
like,
so they have to
have the mill run it.
so they're printing on.
Yeah, they
So
they're
they have to
running.
have the mill run it.
Yeah. Similar to Multicam Black, which is my current favorite, I would definitely order gear in ATAX LE or LEX. Also, any plans to do more ATAX AU? AU no longer it doesn't exist. There might still be some out there. We might even have some in the shop here.
We have a
IX. We've been running stuff in IX. From the questions and comments, I'm guessing you're pretty new to SOE. We have product on the shelf right now in IX that can ship to you tomorrow. I live in the high desert and love the pattern. Same dude says, definitely ordering a shoe porn. Is that the same dude?
Shoe porn patch?
Same dude? Yeah, Greg Roberts.
Greg.
Definitely ordering a shoe porn patch. I think aim points are overpriced for... Where the fuck am I? Yeah, it's the same dude. I think aim points are overpriced for what they are. Quality isn't more than Vortex. I don't think that's correct, is it?
Well, I mean, your problem is you're setting a standard, right? Vortex didn't exist when Aimpoint came to fruition. Aimpoint set the standard for those optics. So yes, Vortex has a couple of sights that are on the same level as Aimpoint, but once again, Aimpoint set the standard for those optics. They're kind of still doing it. So, is an Aimpoint overpriced? I don't know. It comes from fucking Sweden, for Christ's sake. Or Switzerland. I think.
ACOG used to have a sight called the Vortex. It was that little tiny thumb-sized one that would sit. It was forward-facing, had blue tint to it, had a red dot in it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Aimpoint set the standards. So you can't be like, oh, Vortex, of course. It's like comparing a World War II 1911 to a brand new Glock 19.
I feel like we cannot trust Trump as much as we originally thought. He has shown with the bump stock ban that he will cave on something if used in a mass shooting like Las Vegas. There again, I think you're new to us because we've spoken about that.
Yeah, we've spoken.
Many
I've
times.
talked about that a bunch of times, and
I don't think we can count on him. I don't think we can count on him to defend the Second Amendment like we hoped he would.
well, he has been. So you don't have any laws banning any of your guns yet. Let's see what happens with this wall thing.
Questions: have you ever considered making a plate carrier? We definitely know he's new. I know it'd be expensive, but we all know they would be the best made ones out there. Do you guys carry on a daily basis? Definitely doesn't. Yeah, definitely new. I do not carry a gun. I'm a prohibited felon. No, we've never, ever, ever in 30 years thought of building a plate carrier. That's sarcasm. Yeah, we've built plate carriers. We've got them hanging in the other building still. No, there is no intention to build a plate carrier. There's a ton of dudes building them. Go find one you like and just fucking stop waiting for us to do it and go buy one. Dan says, Skully, I hope you share your kid militia photos. I'm curious to know if it was the original Red Dawn time period. We had spider holes dug all over East Texas. Laugh out loud.
What year was Red Dawn?
I was in 9th grade.
9th grade. So it would have been Red Dawn time period, but you know, we were still fighting in the jungles of Vietnam. So I wasn't fighting Russians.
Maybe I wasn't in the 9th grade. Maybe it was before that.
I was going to be a Green Beret. All because of John Wayne. So I was going to be a Green Beret, but the Marine recruiter, man.
Were you going to teach young children how to swim in rivers?
I would have. I would have taught young children how to swim in rivers. I'd have been using a tonsil thing and then been like candy. Yeah.
You'd have been building fucking roads.
Building roads, yeah. Special forces, man. That's what I wanted to do.
Wouldn't have killed anybody.
Nah, you don't have time.
Special forces that's for building churches.
Yeah, you don't have time. When you're building a church, how much time do you have for killing?
Overthrowing governments by religion.
Well, yeah.
I believe that all Mormon missionaries are really part of the special forces.
They're
winning hearts and minds.
John loves joking. This is funny though. John loves joking about special forces.
Because everybody knows if you want somebody killed, SEALs are stone cold killers.
He jokes about special forces winning hearts and minds, and I have it's funny, and I have a story. So when Black Hawk Down happened, they pushed all the Green Beret long gun guys out to these posts. So there's basically all these posts that they pushed these guys out to, where they were like, you know, overview, and there were certain targets that you could shoot on site, certain people you could shoot on site. And so because they pushed these guys out, they couldn't, this is exactly how it was explained to us, they could not execute their primary mission. So they brought the snipers in from the MEU, which was 1-9 Scout snipers, and we basically backfilled in all their sniper positions. So they put us in all these sniper positions. And so we're there for a couple weeks, and I'm like, man, I wonder what kind of sneaky shit, you know, what kind of sneaky SF shit they're going to be doing now that their shooters are available. Well, about 80 miles outside of Mogadishu City proper, there is a place. I can't think of the name of it. It's a valley, and it is the most fertile ground. It is the most fertile ground in all of Africa. Like, if they could, well, who does all the corn here? Monsanto. If Monsanto could get over there and just start doing corn, they would feed everybody in the world. It'd be easy. And that's the special forces guys telling us. So I'm like, well, what the fuck are you guys doing? And they're like, well, we're going up there to get the 2 tribes that are in that area to start farming. I'm like, what? You're going to go up there and teach people how to farm? And they're like, yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Yep, see? They're Mormons. What kind of trauma bag supplies do you run in your personal vehicles? How many tourniquets, etc.? Well, I have a bunch of medical stuff, and Jeff has a bunch of shit to fuck you up with, so you better hope that both trucks are in the same place at the same time.
My tourniquet's right here. I wear it every day. I'm sure you have one on your pants. You wear it
Jeff's
every day.
Tourniquet, he has a knot tied in one end, and he has a half of a ballpoint pin in the other.
Yeah,
and sometimes he fills it up at the water fountain at the elementary school, and he just sprays people with water.
I wear it every day.
Love the Rigger's belt. Just got a gray one. I'm going to order another one. You should order 2 of them while you're at it. Yeah, actually, I would order one today, and then I'd order one tomorrow. That way you get mail twice next week.
I would order 2 because you can use one as a tourniquet.
Here be dragons. I always think that that's boot camp.
Here be the dragons.
DuckDuckGo, also app for browsing. Perhaps isn't as good as Google search-wise, but loads better on privacy from what I read. Rewall, in my opinion, dim leadership has to put up a fight or they will have a revolt on their hands from far more left Dems next election. Can't believe from 12 years ago the Republicans are now the stable and more sane party. Always good to hear about business practices. One of the reasons I rather buy from you when I buy product you sell. The only fuck up is the taxes I have to pay here in the Netherlands when your stuff arrives. Yeah, that's true, man. I hear we got the same shit too, man. We have to pay taxes if we bring shit in. Just got back from South Africa. Basically, all the people I know and spoke to were busy with Plan B. Friend just got back from Zim, I'm guessing Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
When I was in South Africa, he was there when the fuel riots happened. I just hope this isn't a preview of South Africa will end up. What do you think's going on? I mean, like, where are we at? I haven't seen shit on South Africa.
They're having the same problems that they're having the same problems
white folks.
Yeah, same problems that all African nations have. They don't have the capability to be civilized, and I'm not just talking because
they don't have any leadership.
They don't have a foot on their neck yet. They don't have any real leadership. The problem with those countries is usually when somebody gets elected,
we need more empire.
They're out for themselves. They don't give a shit about the people, and so they tear those fucking countries up. It's going to be a problem over there. They're going to. I mean, watch the BBC News or any other news source outside of the United States. Don't watch BBC News America, but try and get the real deal, because there's all kinds of really crazy shit that is going on in the world that they are not putting on TV over here. They're not putting on TV.
Saying the same shit over and over about Trump.
Yeah, they're not putting on TV over here. We are currently here in the United States in a Trump bubble. That bubble is going to crash, and you're going to find new people, and you're going to find new people in power in England, new people in power in Germany, new people in power in Poland,
France,
and the motherfuckers in France will be lucky if they don't roll the actual guillotines out and start cutting people's heads off. So they're hiding a lot of stuff, and there is some shit going on in Africa that's going to cross borders, and I feel like that the Afrikaans will not allow that country to collapse, but we'll see.
Then why are they allowing what's going on to happen then?
It's just because there's shortages on everything.
They got shortages on fucking 308s and FAL rifles?
No, I don't think they do.
Why aren't they fucking using
Well, they don't have FAL rifles anymore. They're using what they call their version of the Galil. They have the R5 and R4s.
Yeah, but there's still some Rhodesians that are what, 65, 70. They're still able-bodied.
Yeah, they're still able-bodied. We'll see.
Yep, MSM examining hamburgers that Trump bought with his own money and not a peep out of the $65,000 of taxpayer money Obama spent on hot dogs. Imported from Chicago for 14 people. Damn those folks who could eat a lot of hot dogs. There is some speculation. Hot dog is a code, according to the FBI, for male juvenile pedophilia slave trade, sex slave trade. Cheese is young girls. Hot dogs are young boys. There's a bunch. It's all part of that Pedogate and Pizzagate stuff. And there's a lot of speculation that $65,000 was to bring children for sex in, and that's what that $65,000 was for. Jeff had a different take on it.
Trump didn't have any hot dogs at his thing.
Right.
What could that be? I know he's talking about Dum Dum. I want to say this because it just popped in my head. I was thinking about the Democrats and everybody complaining because these workers, because the government is shut down. Do you know, most people aren't talking about this, but Donald Trump, as the President of the United States, has not cashed one of his paychecks and put it in his bank account. He's given every single one of those paychecks away to Parks and Recs. He's given every single one of those paychecks away. I want you to think about that. Donald Trump, who is a millionaire, has given every one of his paychecks away. Do you know who's cashing her paycheck every time she gets it? Nancy Pelosi. And Nancy Pelosi is worth $100 million. I speculate, I may be wrong, the reason why Donald Trump does not want his tax returns put in public is not because you're going to find some crazy loophole where he's funneling money.
I think he doesn't want Nancy Pelosi to know she has more money than him.
She doesn't want Nancy or those people in general to know that he's really not as rich as everybody thinks he is. That's my opinion. It might be wrong. But then going back to this hot dog thing, I mean, $65,000 for hot dogs. Think about you are a young, hip, cool type of president, and you're thinking about home, and you're like, remember that hot dog place on the east side that had those hot dogs that were really good? And you look at your wife and she's like, yeah, those were really good hot dogs. And then your number two is like, well, sir, you are the president of the United States. We could get you those hot dogs. That's how you spend $65,000 on hot dogs. You have Secret Service fly a fucking jet up to fucking Chicago, Air Force One, to pick up 11 hot dogs and bring them back. That sounds exactly like what something a Democrat would do.
Meanwhile, we can't even get euros brought here from a fucking hour away.
That's right, Pierre. Thanks a lot.
Hamburgers to the moon, that's the thought. Is that Tom Araya? I'm talking about you.
Tom Araya?
Yeah, isn't he the guitarist for...
Oh, he could be, yeah. No, it's not.
Black Flag or Anthrax or...
I retired. I gave up a lucrative career in the industry to be a Marine.
Democrats gave $58 billion for custom border protection. So where is the wall? Or more important, where is the money?
Government contracts are all 5 years out. What you don't know is if you pull up, and it'd be hard to do with regular news because we're not covering anything real, but there are construction crews on the border right now building wall, that they are putting wall in. That wall has already been paid for. $58 million? Who knows what they did with
billion.
it? Or billion. $58 billion? Here's the thing. Anytime you hear billion, there is so much of that money that's just sloughing off. That's just like, think about it. $58 billion. If I went into that vault and I took $5 million out of that and just was like, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna put it over here, and I'm gonna just put it over here. Anybody that looked at that pile of money would still go, man, that's $58 billion. It's a lot of money. It's just, they just keep making it bigger and bigger so they can have graft. So fucking Nancy Pelosi can fly all over the world with her 14th separated cousin by mother's birth to take them to Brussels and let them party it up over there.
Listen to your podcast in the gym. Just wanted to add on the last stream that it's not the petrol dollar, it's the aircraft carrier dollar that provides our supremacy. Keep up the good work.
Well, I mean, it's the petrol dollar that's going into those aircraft carriers to provide our supremacy. But it's true. I mean, when people start talking about the Chinese are going to take over or the Russians are going to take over, or it doesn't matter who it is. We are 10 carriers up on every one of those countries. You know what the big Russian threat was, or the big Chinese threat recently was? The big Chinese threat was, we're going to blow up 2 of your carriers. It is true that we float around in these big MAGTFs with aircraft carriers, and we put them out there in the Asiatic Sea, and that yes, the Chinese could fire a missile and sink our carrier. It's been done before. The fucking Argentinians did it to the British. It's been done before. You could sink a carrier. The problem is the wrath that would be brought down upon them would not be worth what they were getting themselves into. They don't have the Chinese. Well, yes, there is a fucking billion people over there. They don't have the capability to project that force anywhere in the world. Right now they're having fights with the Philippines. The Chinese Navy and the Filipino Navy are smashing into each other in the Pacific Ocean over fishing rights. They don't have the projection. They don't have the capability to project force all over the world. We do. We have that capability. If they were to sink 2 carriers, it wouldn't phase us one bit. Yes, everybody would be up in arms, but remember, then everybody would want to fight the Chinese.
I think they'd fat man a little boil.
Yeah, it wouldn't work out in the Chinese favor. I don't know if I should. Well, I will. I don't care. What are they going to do? The actual Department of Defense plan.
Three fonts.
Well, the Department of Defense plan on China is the war in China will be started because they sink 3 carrier groups. That's how the Department of Defense thinks we're going to get in a fight with China. Is they sink 3 carrier groups.
3 carriers or 3 carrier groups?
3 carrier groups.
How the fuck do they do that?
With a lot of fucking missiles. But
so if they're going to hit one, they're going to hit everything they can hit.
Yeah, they're going to hit every.
They might as well launch them at the U.S.
They're going to hit. Point. They're going to hit everything they can hit. But the reality is, they don't have the capability for force projection. It's the same thing with the Russians. The Russians. It looks good on paper, and it's how you keep spending all these fucking dollars. But they don't have the capability for force projection. They can't put. The Russians could not put like right now. They own a port in Syria. That's the only reason why the Russians are in Syria, and it's the only reason why they care whether or not Syria stays with Assad or it gets taken out, because they need that port in Syria. They still couldn't put 1 million men in Syria and support them. Hell, they're having a hard enough time supporting the mercenaries that they've been sending over there. That we, by the way, the United States of America, and a meager force of special operators are killing wholesale. So don't get too excited. The only thing that the Chinese and the Russians have going for them, the only thing they have, is that they're a nuclear power. That's it. That is the only thing they have going for them. If they did not have nuclear weapons, I'm willing to bet, if they did not have nuclear weapons, the United States would have figured out a way a long time ago to invade both of those countries and take
resources.
I don't know, resources or whatever, but yeah, it's that's all they got going for them, is they have nuclear weapons. That's it.
Don't the Chinese own the Long Beach shipyard and the Long Beach naval base?
The Long Beach shipyard, the Long Beach naval yard is closed. I don't know if I think the Chinese did buy that. But
isn't there there's a Clancy book about the Chinese invading the United States? And they were bringing them in on ships and containers into those ports for a long time and storing bodies, but jumping out of 747s or something because they don't have enough military transport to. Yeah,
they don't have the military transport to do the force projection that you would need. So.
Should we make it mandatory for elected officials to serve only 2 terms like the president?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the solution. I would say that the first thing we need to do is make it mandatory that they account for all their dollars. That's what it should be. I don't care if a guy's there for 40 years, as long as he can account for every dollar that he has fucking spent, every one of my dollars that he has spent. They can't account for any of it. Not a fucking dime. They certainly can't account for how they are fucking multi-millionaires on the paycheck that they're getting. So I think that would be the first thing, is making them all accountable for the money that they're spending. I will bet if you said, hey, we're going to have, and that's the hard part. Who's accounting for it, right? Who's going to account for it? How are they going to fucking line by line item that shit? But if you could come up with a computer program or whatever, something independent that could audit the federal government, I'll bet we could cut the budget in half. All that stuff is just, all that money we're spending is mostly on waste and graft. Period. Whether it's fucking an F-22 fighter that costs more, an F-35. I want you to think about this: the F-1 F-35 fighter, one F-35 fighter, is more expensive than the United States Marine Corps.
Holy shit!
Is more expensive than the United States Marine Corps. Think about that, and think about how many of those fucking planes they're going to buy.
Do they even fly? Do we have them?
Yeah, they fly.
Have we blown anything up with them?
I don't know. I'm sure that God, they've had them for They've had them for a minute, so they've had to use them in some
F-35. So it's beyond. Isn't that the fucking crazy one?
That's the Joint Strike Fighter that everybody had to have, and then the Marine Corps was like, well, we need one that takes off vertically. So we need a different plane. You know, it is ultimately ridiculous in the sense that I don't want you to think about the F-35 Raptor. I don't want you to think about any of the current billion-dollar issue. Let's just talk about the F-18. The F-18 is the frontline fighter for the United States Marine Corps and the Navy. That's the work bird. If you got aircraft inbound, it's probably an F-18.
Yeah, even the Blue Angels are flying.
Yeah, unless you're a fucking in the Air Force, and then you got B-52s and all kinds of crazy shit. But the F-18 is the workhorse. We have air supremacy against every fucking country in the world with that aircraft. We are worried about China's stealth aircraft. We are worried about the Russian stealth aircraft. They don't have the numbers. It doesn't fucking matter. They don't have the numbers. They can't produce the numbers that would make that aircraft effective whatsoever. They don't have the numbers. It's kind of like carriers. They don't have the carriers to be effective to have that force projection anywhere in the world. Same thing with their fucking stealth programs. They don't have the numbers. Same thing with their tanks. They don't have the fucking... We could take 1980s, the inventory that we have right now, sitting in the fucking desert, doing nothing, inventory of M1 Abrams, and go up against the best tanks that the Chinese can put in the field and the best tanks that the Russian can be put in the field. It's going to be a fight. They're going to blow up a bunch of our fucking tanks, but they won't have the numbers. We will fucking overrun their asses. It won't be long before the Russians are fucking running around out in the battlefield with fucking T-72s again. Same thing with the Chinese. They don't have the number. If we were talking about dudes on the ground, the Chinese are the ones to worry about. But we don't have to worry about that. Because they don't, even their army, they don't give those guys bullets, man. It's just, I don't know. It's funny that we spend all this money against this evil empire that really doesn't exist. There's not... Putin's a threat. The reason why Putin is a threat is because, unlike our country, he's the leader forever. So he gets to make strategic decisions that are based off a timeline that our presidents don't get to do. If the president only has 4 years, there's only a certain amount of shit that the president can do. Putin can make a decision today about something that's not going to even pop up 8 years from now because he knows he's going to be the fucking president. Anyways, I don't know where I went.
Skully by the saw.
I know, man. I need to, but man,
How much is it?
It's fucking. They're about $8,000. But when I look at the saw and then I go, okay, I'm not going to spend any money for the next 6 months. I'm going to buy this, and then somebody comes here with like a fucking truck full of guns, and I'm like, shit, I can buy all these guns and I'll get the saw later. That's usually what happens.
Do a GoFundMe for it.
Man, I'm not. No, you don't need to pay for my shit. I'll figure it out. Who knows?
Have Gina get a second job.
Yeah, I would love for Gina to get a second job.
Gina gets a second job and then fucking buys you the saw.
No, Gina needs to not have a seasonal job. If she just had a job that was all year round, that would be perfect.
I get current events from John and Skully. Thanks for keeping me informed. What news source would you actually recommend? Go to the gym at 5 in the morning.
No, don't go to the gym at 5 in the morning. The only thing they play is CNN, and you would think that CNN
and music that'll cause testicular shrinkage.
Man, you would think that they are so locked into the Trump bubble that there's like nothing else happening in the world.
You want to see some crazy shit? Come to our gym and listen to the fucking hillbillies at the gym fucking talk little politics.
There's nothing else in the world going on. I would say like BBC World News is pretty good because they kind of skim over the stuff that's happening here, but they talk about a lot of stuff that's happening in the world that our news coverage is so lacking in. Find one station, even Fox. Find one fucking station that's talking about what's going on in France. It's just nobody's putting that out.
Well, because they're worried it's gonna you might get some ideas here.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. that we're in the Trump bubble right now. The bubble will burst soon.
Thumbs up if you're actually enjoying the government shutdown.
Am I actually enjoying is the government shut down? How did I get to...
Exactly.
Does that mean the roads are closed? What does that affect?
You just have to pee.
Oh, you know what?
You have to pee at a gas station instead of on the...
I bet I can't go to the New Johnsonville. I bet I can't go to the New Johnsonville
the War Memorial.
I bet I can't go there. Bet that's closed. Bet
went,
those two park rangers are mad.
We went there. There was a park ranger. What the fuck was he riding? A giant lawnmower with a fucking vacuum hose on it. Luckily, the DOE is funded for 2019, so my job isn't affected. But I feel for those who are working without a paycheck. That being said, I fully support Trump and the shutdown. Living in New Mexico gives me a different perspective on the need for border security. So with that said, I saw a guy in a video today said he has some friends that are with Border Patrol that are not getting paid. Is that true?
You know what? I don't know how they're picking who's getting paid, who's not getting paid.
We build a lot of gear for like the BORTAC, REACT, the fucking Border Patrol dudes. We keep asking this question. Do we know anybody? Do we have any customers? Not you heard some shit. Are you married to somebody, or are you related to somebody directly who is one of these 80,000 people who's not getting paid? Do we know anybody who is not getting paid right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel for you if you're struggling because you're not getting paid. You know as well as I do that once the government gets funded, you're going to get all that back pay and all the overtime that you're getting right now. So you're probably going to make out in the end. But obviously, if there's
at 30 days,
if there's poor family planning,
if you're fucked up right now over not getting paid, you might start looking for a job, because there's a chance here in the next week, once they hit 30 days, they can leave. They can just fucking, it's called reduction in force, RIF. They can actually lay those people off, like those jobs, just like the last fucking economic depression years ago. All these factories laid a bunch of bodies off, right? You know, there's no fucking janitors anymore. Like, there used to be a dude that would fucking clean the bathrooms and mop the floors. That job never came back. Like, all those fucking invented jobs, they just ceased to exist. Like, you better be prepared. And like the news companies are talking about all these people filing bankruptcy right now and these businesses going out of business because of government layoffs. Bullshit.
Yeah, honestly, if 30 days is the difference between you losing your house and keeping your house, or 30 days is the difference between your company's door staying open and being closed, the hard truth is you weren't making it anyways. You weren't making it anyways.
It's called a going concern, and you are no longer one of them.
But you weren't making it anyways. I mean, I have a real good friend. I try to keep to this. It's hard with, God, there's so many beautiful guns in Tennessee. It's hard to do this with all the beautiful guns in Tennessee. But you should have 6 months. You should have 6 months in your savings account. So if you lose your job tomorrow,
to cover your mortgage, your insurance,
you should have 6 months in your savings account. If you don't, it's because, the truth be told, just like I just said, when it comes to money, I make bad decisions based off of firearms. If you're making bad decisions because you've got $600 in fucking direct dish TV, fucking, 25 cell phones that you're paying for your kids to do, if you have all those things, you're making bad decisions, especially if 30 days is bankrupting you. You need to reevaluate your situation. It's not the government's job to make sure that your life goes well.
And with that said, have you seen I keep seeing it on Facebook. There's some poor dude's been kicked out of his house, and he's got a pit bull rescue or something, and he's living in a tent and getting donations for all this dog food to feed all these dogs that are staked outside of his tent, and he's lost his house. That'd be Jeff. Before Jeff would sell any guns,
oh yeah,
Jeff would live in a tent, and all his guns, he'd build walls with guns around the tent.
Yeah.
They'd be starving. Jeff would eat his fucking dog.
Yeah, definitely. Dog would be gone. Dog would be gone
before he sold a fucking gun.
Definitely.
With that said, it's along the lines of dudes get a belt or something, and they don't listen to our sizing, or they order some shit, and I'm like, okay, send it back, and we'll trade it out for this size. Well, I'm gonna have to wait, or I'll tell them they'll order something up and they'll get the wrong color or whatever, and they're like, I'm in a hurry and I have to have this for a class this weekend, and he's telling us about it on Thursday, right? I'm like, okay, send this back in. I go, the easiest way to do this is order a new belt right now, and then and then we'll ship it out today, because you just told us you need this fucking thing in 2 or 3 days. Send us the other one back. When we get it, we'll refund you. Well, I can't afford to do that until the money comes back on my card. Or they'll order some shit and order a 26-inch belt, and they're like, I need a 34. So automatically we cancel and refund it and tell them to order a new correct belt. Well, couldn't you have just changed it? Why would we do that when you yourself couldn't order correctly? Why should I leave it on one of my guys to find your order that you ordered wrong, handwrite it and change it and make sure that happens, when in reality it's probably on the shelf with 400 other boxes from this morning, and it's already going out? Like, that is the fastest way to head it off without investing an hour and a half of man time to find this actual order. But they're like, well, I can't afford to until the money comes in my account. If you can't afford to have $65 in limbo that's going to show back up in your account in 24 hours anyways, you got no business. You can't afford the belt. Like, you got no business going to that class and paying that ammo. Like, if you can't pay your bills, I'm the dude. I want your money. I want you to buy my belt. I want you to go take a class. I want you to buy bullets from our friend's bullet company. But you got no fucking business doing any of that if you can't fucking pay your bills. Like, your basic bills. Fiocchi,
you hear me talking about these guns, right? Fiocchi. We could do some crazy videos.
I did the last gun ban. I made Mini $1 on magazines and AR lowers because they said we could not have them. I love the crime bill. This new law has no sunset article. I think when Trump loses in 2020, we are fucked. Then we will see all these keyboard commandos standing in line to turn their shit in. We, the people, will never fight back. It kills me when I see someone on the net say shit like that. You know good and damn well you ain't gonna do shit. When the boss man comes home and tells you to turn them in, you'll get your ass in line with the rest of the sheep. Laugh my ass off. I got a belt after seeing a friend at work with one. I threw away a lot of good money on shit products. When I got my belt and compared them, you could fucking see why they all took a shit. That scuba webbing is not regular webbing, even doubled. It's stiffer than the webbing on my weight belt. Add that Cobra buckle and it's bulletproof. I am going to start buying more with different colors. Now I know when I send an order to SOE, I will get what I wanted. When I can add a holster with double mag pouch handcuffs and pepper spray holder, and it still does not bend, that's all I want. Fuck all the rest. So with that said, we actually have our scuba webbing spec'd out. It actually has more fibers than normal webbing. They actually jam them in the weave process. We use a little bit thicker of raw good, and then it's got a real high resin content to it. As far as putting all that shit on there, you can take my belt right now. I can take my pants off and hold my belt from the back, and it'll stay open like a basketball hoop. It will stick out in your mind the first time you step on that motherfucker in the dark on the way to the bathroom.
Even if you're wearing shoes, man.
It's like stepping on a fucking Lego.
You step on, like, I have to go into John's Bay all the time, and he'll have the scraps from when he's cutting belt on the floor. And even if you're wearing shoes and you step on one of those fucking things, it will roll your ankle. You'll be like, what the fuck?
It'll rip your calf. You won't be doing calf raises. Great content, guys. Love the talks. You guys are on point and speak a lot of the truth. Isaiah, thank you. Liking the podcast, any opportunities you passed on looking back now you would benefit from Skully or John?
Any opportunities I passed on? Let's see.
We should have gone pro and gotten paid for all that porn.
Yeah, I should have gone pro. I mean, like I've said this before. You know, if I could talk to 18-year-old or 17-year-old Jeffrey, I would tell him, hey, you need to go to the military academy and get commissioned an officer in the Army. That's probably what I would convince myself of. Outside of that, if I don't go back that far, I would just tell Sergeant Escalderon, sniper school or being in a sniper platoon is not as important as getting your fitness reports squared away so you can get promoted later on when you are older. Truth be told, the military doesn't give two shits about you. And you know, in my day, the Marine Corps did everything in its power to kind of disinform you. I don't want to say disinform you, but the reality is they never, and they still kind of don't. They're getting a little better at it, but there was never that progression of okay, you're a corporal. These are the things that you have to do to become a sergeant. As far as like, you know, when you would go to when I went to the staff academy, so when I went to the staff academy, I was already a staff sergeant. So you're already in the pay grade. When I went to the fucking sergeant's course, I was already a sergeant. It doesn't make any sense that they're doing it after the fact. It's kind of like the Marine Corps expects you to know everything you need to know for that next position before anybody's told you anything about it.
They gave you the fucking merit badge before you even did the
yeah.
test.
So I mean, I probably would have focused. I would have focused more on the career or the ass kissing portion of being in the military, because that's a lot of it. That's why you can meet a fucking master sergeant that doesn't know how much water's in a 5-gallon water can. True story. True story. True story. But he got promoted. That's for sure.
You just called yourself Jeffrey.
Well, that would be me young.
When you talk to yourself in your head, are you like Jeffrey?
It depends on.
And then you answer back, "Yes, Jeff."
It depends on what year I'm talking to myself. Because remember, when I was in high school, I would have been Jeffrey. I didn't get Skully till I joined the Marine Corps.
But did Jeff or Jeffrey?
Jeffrey, because of my mom. That's my mom.
Fucking called you Jeffrey.
Well, you
Jeffrey.
did
Only
you?
when somebody's mad at you.
Did you? I mean, I was Skully when I met you, though, right? I had to have been, because
I've always called you Jeff.
Because I got that from Sergeant Major Booker. Now, actually, it was not Sergeant Major Booker. Sergeant Major Booker was like.
It was your drill instructor.
It was Titzer. It was Titzer. I don't know if he retired or got out, but it was Sergeant Titzer who couldn't say my last name, and so he was like, Skullfuck. So he would call me Skullfuck. And then
what did he look like?
Titzer? It's just it's really weird, and I'm sure some of you have had this happen. So Titzer was this fucking huge mountain of a man. He was the fucking meanest drill instructor that we had. Now, Sergeant Major Booker, he could put the fucking because he was the black belt when we had him, and the black belt he's in charge of everybody. So he's kind of got to be the soft guy and a little bit of the hard guy, but you know, every now and then he'd be like, I'm going to take you in the fucking whiskey locker. But Titzer was the mean guy. Titzer was so fucking ruthless that on Sergeant Major Booker's day off, so he would get Sunday off. And if Titzer was the drill instructor that had to stay with us on that Sunday, because unlike the Army, the drill instructors stay with you 24 hours a day in the Marine Corps boot camp. So if Titzer was the drill instructor, guaranteed Sergeant Major Booker would sneak back in to make sure Titzer was not fucking us up beyond belief. And every single time he would come back in, and we would be in the showers with the fucking hot water all on, doing fucking exercises in the shower, and you'd see Sergeant Major Booker walk by, and then his head would poke in, and then he would call Titzer, and then there would be a conversation. And then Titzer would come back in, he'd be like, turn the fucking showers off, get in the squad bay. And then we would be fucking chilling, because it's Sunday, you're not supposed to do anything on Sunday. But, man, Titzer was the worst. Just huge monster. I mean, he was the fucking worst. You just knew that every time you saw him, he was going to fuck you up. So, you're going to go through boot camp, blah, 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 blah. And then, after boot camp, I'm at SOI. We're going through infantry training school, and at that time they may still do it, I don't know, but they were still taking recruits. After the rifle range, recruits would go up to SOI, and they would do like a mini infantry phase. So it was so that everybody got an opportunity to shoot the M16 and go on a fucking combat patrol. So they would take them up there, and I think it was 3 weeks. It was either 3 weeks or 2 weeks that you would stay up at SOI. And the recruits are coming out of the chow hall, and we're going to the chow hall, and I see Titzer. Titzer he's got the black belt, he's the senior drill instructor, and he's so much smaller. He's like just a regular dude. Like he's standing there in the corner and he's just a regular dude. And I'm like, God damn, I thought he was bigger. And they're like, yeah, he was so much bigger. And so we go over and we're like, hey, platoon 1073, and we're talking to him, and and he immediately goes, like he's a black hat now, so he's controlling things, but he immediately is like, hey, you guys know that was all part of the game. We had to, that's how we train Marines, and like he immediately went defensive, and I don't think any of us were like, hey, you were a total asshole, dude. I mean, I knew. My biggest downfall going to boot camp was I knew everything that they were going to do at boot camp. I knew all the tricks. I knew that no matter how, if you could make your rack perfect. If you could make your rack perfect day one, they're going to tear it up. I knew that they have to break you down to blah blah blah, get you to make. That's how you get people to march in the same line. I knew all the stuff they were going to do, so Tits are being an asshole. It's just like, that's expected. I was like, I don't know, my mom's like, after she watched Full Metal Jacket, she's like, were the drill instructors like that when you went through, your drill instructor like that when you went through boot camp? I said, yeah, it was kind of like that. And she's like, well, what was different? I go, we had 6 drill instructors, not just one. So, I knew it, but it was just interesting how his demeanor totally changed because he was no longer our drill instructor, and he was kind of trying to defend himself. And I'm like, you don't need to do that. But he was a photo guy. He was a photo PA. And that's when we found that out. I'm like, man, the fucking meanest drill instructors are always guys that aren't O3s. Like the O3s they'll get you going, and they'll play some games with you. But man, the real mean drill instructors are always some fucking like, yeah, fucking photojournalist or some shit like that.
The guy with the typewriter. Gun in a paper bag, please. Gun in a paper bag patch, please. What would be a high point? A Tokarov.
I would love a gun in a paper. I was thinking about that. I saw that question, and I'm like, but how would you do?
I would like to have.
How would you do that patch?
I'd like to have like a.
Guess what's in my bag? Oh, that'd be good.
Oh yeah, that would be good. We could do a patch. We could actually do a patch of a paper bag with a pocket in it that you pull your little
patch pistol out of.
Somebody asked on Live Feed the other night. They said P. I thought they said something else. I don't remember what I thought they said, but they said P7, the HK P7, the squeeze cock.
Squeeze cock guns. I do not have one of those.
Jacob Herman has one.
They were kind of expensive, and but I don't have a P7. I should.
I thought MP7. I thought they said MP7.
Oh yeah. If you
got I was like, no, I've never fucking.
If you got an MP7 and you want to sell me, don't bring it here. I can't buy it.
If you got an MP7, like, you're doing some real shit at that point.
Mm-hmm.
What's your current top 5 best-selling, most popular pattern colors? Multicam black, Typhon.
Yeah.
Then what? I'm gonna say Ajax Ghost.
No, you know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna say purple.
only if it's purple. $35 or less.
If it's a toiletry bag, if we're talking toiletry bag, purple's blowing them all out of the water.
500 of them last month.
Purple blowing all of them out of the water. I love it.
All our competitors are gearing up to build everything in purple right now.
Everything in purple.
Listening. What color? We need a shoe porn patch. We've got a shoe porn patch in the works. Someone asked me about the changing of caskets with JFK. They said they changed caskets in flight and a different body came out. Anything you can shed light on with this?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard that they changed caskets. I can think of a bunch of reasons why they do it.
Well, they said a whole different body.
Yeah, but I can think of a bunch of reasons why they would change caskets, and then what you think is a body may not necessarily be a body. So if you look up Arlington Cemetery, the Army does it. I know the Marine Corps does it. Is when they practice with a weighted casket, with a real weighted casket, and I believe that back then they were actually using not anatomically correct, but like sandbag guys. so that it kind of looked like a person in the coffin. So sandbag guys. And what I would assume is that maybe when they transported Kennedy from the hospital, that they used a shitty fucking coffin, or whatever was on hand, not presidential, and they brought his body on the plane. And what people think they saw was a sandbag dummy being taken out of whatever the military honor guard was carrying, because it has to be weighted for them to carry it. So whatever the military honor guard was carrying, and then body transferred into a better coffin. But I mean, who knows? Kennedy was killed. His brain is in the fucking Smithsonian.
Who do you think killed him?
Fuck.
George Bush.
Well, I mean,
like, there's a lot of shit going around now.
His fucking vice president, his vice president was ready to go, right? I mean, he was ready to go.
Yeah.
There could be there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons why it is plausible that people within the government of the United States will want to kill the president. Will want to kill JF Kennedy because of his ideas.
Attempted this time.
But I believe Lee Harvey Oswald, with an old Italian bolt-action rifle, firing it left-handed, because all the good killers are left-handed, shot and killed the president of the United States. It's if you go there, so it's weird watching it on TV, but I have actually had some real shooters go to the library. It is the building is actually a historical site, and they have a museum in there, and blah blah blah.
That's how they're gonna set you up.
But if you go to that building and peek out that window at where the car was, for a Marine qualified pizza box. So the worst fucking badge you could get, the pizza box, would have been able to make those shots, no problem.
Not sure if you're following, but what is y'all's take? When did everybody start saying y'all?
Y'all.
I never heard y'all unless it was like Sweet Home Alabama or something about Texas. Now everybody all across, everybody on the internet says y'all. What's your take?
And it's weird that they're typing that out.
Yeah.
You're typing out.
Like Amanda.
You're typing out an accent.
Strike that word from your book. You are not allowed to say y'all. If you don't have a fucking baby cow out there and you're not driving a Cadillac with some horns or riding a horse, you can't say y'all. What's y'all's take on the MAGA hat kids that MSM completely lied about?
I don't know. Watch the video. It's 2 hours long. The news media totally fabricated a story that they wanted to do. This is really what happened. The problem was those kids were there for the Right for Life March. So about estimated between 500 and between 400,000.
I gotta pee.
400,000 and 600,000 people were in Washington D.C. for the Right for Right for Life March. Okay, and basically what that is it's a bunch of people that don't approve of abortion, and they were there. Well, it's necessary. Remember, the media, the news outlets are pushing an agenda. They are pushing an agenda. So they were all there waiting for something to happen. All of them. They weren't going to... Did you hear any news media talking about all the people there and all the peaceful protesting that they did and what a wonderful good time it was? No, you didn't hear anything about that. What you heard about is that kid in his hat. Initially, they weren't even talking about why he was there. What you heard about is that kid in the hat. The Native American dude was totally in the wrong. It would have been well within that kid's right to punch that dude right in the face. People need to be responsible. People need to be individually responsible for themselves. And, there was a time when we talked about personal space. Even in the Marine Corps, there was a time where if you exceeded my personal space, it didn't matter who you were. I could punch you in the face because you're in my personal space. So it was a fraud. The news media cut what they wanted to do, and they said what they wanted to say to get the reactions from the left that they got. They wanted people to go nuts about this kid, and and people did. They released They released the family's information. And people were attacking him and his family through social media. Kathy Lee Gifford, not Kathy Lee Gifford, Kathy Lee dumbass. She basically went on after this had been done to her. She went out and said all these kids should be exposed.
Find all his information.
Yeah, find his information. We're gonna go after him. Somebody should punch that bitch right in the face. That's right, I said it. Punch her in the face. If you're her assistant,
what is that bitch's name?
Kathy Gifford. No, Gifford is the senator.
She went and ran her mouth about Trump and got fucking destroyed.
If you're her assistant, punch her in the face. Just punch her in the face. That's what she needs.
Give her a nice cow punching.
And understand, the only reason why she's virtue signaling, the only reason why she's throwing that information out there, and she did what she did, is because she was barely a B-lister. Like, yes, she could go to
parties
and stuff and tell some jokes. She was barely a B-lister. Then she did that shit about cutting Trump's head off and became a pariah. All she's doing is doing this to say, hey guys, guess what? I'm back on your team.
I'm here. I'm
here. I'm back on your team. Fuck her.
There's a good meme going around. It's a little Chinese kid. Oh. And he's on the ground and he's crying and there's a boot just crushing his head. He's like stepping on his head. And then it shows the actual photo as they pan back. And it's the little Chinese kid with his hand in a boot pushing on his own head.
Yeah.
Like, it's just perception, man.
It's perception. But
it's just perception. Like McDonald's. Every time you see all these people in California picketing at McDonald's for $15 an hour minimum wage, and you saw all these hundreds of people just blocking the McDonald's. As soon as you fucking went across the street, you could see how many were actually there. There was only 30 of them. It was all fucking staged and funneled. Keep it up, guys. Love the podcast. Brian B says he's in. I don't know what he's in.
Are you in? All right, good.
Thanks for the content, fellas. As far as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, her backroom dealings have mostly involved a black leather couch. I actually have one of the casting couches.
Yeah.
I have it upstairs in my office. You guys can see it in some of the earlier videos when it used to be in my other office.
She will actually be a force to reckon with once the Democrats...
I would watch her porn.
Once the Democrats reel her in and get her to stop saying totally crazy shit, you'll see.
She's just dumb.
You'll see. She's gonna. Yeah, but I mean, come on, look at.
Yeah.
Half the Democrats can't even spell their last names. I mean, there's some dummies up there.
Imagine if Nancy Pelosi had to know her bank account.
She knows it because she keeps cashing those checks, those government checks.
That's all automated at this point.
Yeah.
Think about it. I mean, Jeff and I we talk about weird shit when we're driving, like phone numbers. I don't know my fucking. Yeah, I guess I do know my bank numbers, but like phone numbers and shit. I guess I do know this phone. I guess I do know some phone numbers, but like I remember my grandmother. My grandmother's been dead for 25 years. Yeah. I know the fucking phone number to the house there. I still know my mom's old phone number. You, like one day, like you're going to have that phone number.
Yeah. I have my Santee house, the phone number that we had forever. I had it transferred over to a cell phone and my mom has it. And that is my legacy. She's going to give me the Santee phone number. But when we were kids, I remember the challenge was 10.
10 phone numbers.
10 phone numbers. Can you remember 10 phone numbers? And I specifically remember, us in a fucking sewing circle at the elementary school, Rio Seco in Santee, California. Us in a circle just going, what's his phone number? What's his phone number? And you would just, you would have to remember 10 phone numbers. Now,
I'm fucked up when I pick up a phone. I'm like, do I have to dial 1 on this phone or do I not have to dial 1 on this phone? Like, I'm so fucked up by actually speaking on a telephone. Yeah. Awesome as usual. I'd share it, man, but I don't think I've ever shared anything. Laugh out loud. I'm a loyal customer, though. I also refer everybody that asks about a good belt or gear in general. You see, you just saved yourself with that last sentence because I was going to be like funny like you. Ha, you're banned, motherfucker. I've got a question for you. How far away from Franklin County are y'all? There's that fucking y'all again.
Y'all.
The compound, I mean. Thanks, man, Skully. Franklin is, I call everything over that direction Nashville. Dana McClendon, he might disagree, since he sometimes is the acting mayor over there. He's alderman, also our attorney. 90 minutes. You're about 90 minutes. Franklin's nice. It's like if you were going to go and live someplace there, although the property is very expensive over that direction, that is kind of your higher like hoity-toity area. The Whole Foods is there. There's some. It's nice. Historians now think the Salem witch trial was started by ergot poisoning. It's a fungus that grows on rye, which was the grain grown in Salem. I've heard that's happened a few places. It's very similar to LSD. They also found that the 8 original girls were most likely to eat grain from the western side of Salem Village, where the land was marshier. Rob Pridemore. I think it was little fucking asshole girls who just fucking.
But that mead thing, they actually debunked that because of the time frame and how little and how just look it up. They've actually debunked that about the grain and the fungus.
Who needs toe straps? I have an SOE belt. I agree with you. Google has changed the definition of family. They have all but outlawed the use of the word. We are definitely going to hell in a handbasket.
I'm going to look up family tonight on Google.
Absolutely love the pot. The words are being changed. Like the definition of shit.
Definition of shit is definitely being changed.
Like liberal. Liberal doesn't mean what it meant fucking 20 years ago. But words are being rewritten. Absolutely love the podcast. I listen to them over and over. Good stuff. Well-rounded warrior video was very good. True torture. Loophole Mark IV, CQB, 0 to 3 magnification, and the rectal is visible when the battery is dead. You mean reticle?
Rectal. It's the same thing.
I was a bulk fuel specialist in the air wing of the Marine Corps. Pump gas, kick ass. Is that what it is?
Bulk fuel, pump gas, and kick ass.
And we were just getting A4s with ACOGs when I was getting out in 0809. That's the last one I got.
Now everybody has M4 carbines. That was for my bulk fuel specialist. That was always my cover. Whenever we would go on True or anything, and somebody would pull out, "Hey, are you a Marine?" I would always say, that's what I would always say. I would say, bulk fuel, pump gas, and kick ass. That was always my covers, bulk fuel guy. Because they don't ask you any other questions. If I go somewhere, and I'm sorry, bulk fuel, but people aren't really that interested in.
Like, that's the conversation killer.
That's the conversation killer. If I go somewhere and if they ask me, what did you do in the Marine Corps, and I say scout sniper, there is a fucking 100 questions that come after that. If I say 0311, if I go like, 0311, that's what I say now a lot of times when people ask us, like, I was in the infantry, I was 0311. You'll get like 10 questions. Like, there'll be 10 questions. You say bulk fuel, that's it. That's it. The questions are done. They're done talking to you.
Don't they have an MOS that pumps shit?
Yes, they did. When I had a kid, that in my boot camp class who got that MOS, and Sergeant Major Booker spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out what it is. He had to get the MOS manual, and they're like, "We've never." At the end of boot camp, they tell you what your MOS designator is. So at the end of boot camp, I was an 03. Now, there's a whole bunch of 03 fields I could have gone into, but I was an 03. He got a designator that none of the drill instructors ever heard of before. They're like, "What the fuck? What is this?" And so they had to send somebody to PPAC, and this is back in the days where there was no computers. So they had to go through the book, and they're like, "What the hell is this MOS?" And it was a fucking
shit truck.
Shit truck. He was fucking gonna be in charge of a shitter truck, and they're like, "What the fuck? You got screwed." They're like, "You got open contract." And he goes, they're like, "You came in on open contract. You got fucked." And he's like, "No, Sergeant." And they're like, "What do you mean, no, Sergeant? What the fuck are you talking about?" No drill instructor. He's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He actually selected that MOS in the military.
Because he's going to get out and own a bunch of
Because I guess he's probably the guy that runs all the shitters at Camp Pendleton now, and he's a fucking millionaire. It's probably the smartest move anybody's ever done.
The whole career of the Marine Corps.
Yeah, his whole career, he became the guy that runs all the shitters.
All right, anything else you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? Anything?
No, I don't really have anything. They built a lot of shit today. Those things are being made.
Yeah, the things are being made.
The things.
They're a little slow. She'll speed up, though, once she figures it out.
That's how she always is. You can give her a 5-minute product, and it'll take her 5 hours to do it the first time. It fucks her all up.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go see if any of them are done.
All right. One's done. Nick was he's like, these are an inch too long. I'm like, they're not. You're putting them in wrong.